Hello, guten Tag und grüß Gott. Today is January the 6th, 2025. And I haven't made a video in a long time, so I thought before we doing the Christmas tree, and Christmas is totally forgotten and gone in our tail lights, so to speak, I wanted to just do a video because I haven't actually done one in quite a little while, for several months. And I'm not sure exactly why, but maybe I've been occupied with other things like the Cybertruck, the our new companion, the Ghost, our Great Pyrenees. And by the way, we did find confirmation that he is indeed a Great Pyrenees according to the DNA testing. And so the testing came out saying 96% Great Pyrenees and 4% undetermined. So, maybe a little Akbash or something else snuck in there. Anyway, we as a family spent the entire month of October in the Pacific Northwest. And what was really interesting is that we drove up there in the Cybertruck, and now you hear our ghost because probably a leaf has fallen somewhere in the next county, and he has to announce the fact, that a leaf has fallen from a tree in the next county. That's evidently characteristics of Great Pyrenees, is that they're so watchful of everything, and a new noise or anything like that, just totally sets them off. So you'll probably hear him in the background here and there. Hopefully somebody will, and my family will kind of calm him down. Maybe my son, my mom, not my mom. I call her mom. It's my wife, Marge. Anyway, so my wife and I and Ghost, we took the Cybertruck, and drove up to the Pacific Northwest to our cabin to spend a month there. And it was actually a great trip. It does take a little bit longer than our trip, let's say, in a Hellcat or just a regular what they call an ICE car now, internal combustion engine car. Because well, it's all my fault because I have what they call range anxiety, and I tell you, when I fill up with electricity, with energy, at a charging station like a supercharger, a Tesla supercharger, which is what we mostly do. And it says the next destination or the next charger is, I don't know, 120 or 200 some miles away, and you'll have 6% of your battery life left. I say, oh no, 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 we can't do this, so I stay longer. Well, when you do that and you don't follow the app, which allows you to get to a destination, reasonably quick, then it does take longer. So normally it takes 2 nights, 3 days to get to the cabin. I think we spent 3 nights, and got there in the following day. So it cost me an entire day just because of my range anxiety. But I want to tell you something about the Cybertruck, because it was we had just received a software update called the Autopilot, and it was, I think, 12 point something. And so I said, well, fine, we'll use that. And so, we drive from Southern California there through LA. And you know what? We made it through LA traffic entirely on the autopilot. But I tell you what, it was stressful. It was really, really stressful. So, anyway, so we spent a wonderful time at the cabin. And Ghost wasn't too crazy about his original environment because he actually came to us up there, and that's how we found him, or well, he found us, and so on. And you've heard that story in a previous video. But let me tell you that, in Southern California, when I take him out for a walk, he mostly has the nose to the ground because he's sniffing and sniffing and sniffing for something. I don't know whether he's trying to find a girlfriend. Who knows, what he's sniffing for. But it's really interesting that he must sniff everything. He doesn't eat poop or anything like this, but he sniffs around. And up north, peculiarly, his nose was in the air all the time. Every once in a while he dipped down to find something, but it was mostly up in the air where he was tasting the air. And so there must have been all kinds of stuff out there. Now, also interesting is while we were up there for a month, our neighbors were wondering, what the hell happened to the coyotes? There are no coyotes up there. Because they hear them usually, close by because they come and check out, see whether they can find something to eat. And so you hear them howling, all around. And there were no coyotes there. And they talked to each other and talked to us. Hey, there are no coyotes around there. And so now we're thinking, that our white ghost, they probably know about Great Pyrenees because they're coyote killers. This is what they do. They protect the flock from, wolves and coyotes and such. So it's possible that once they figured out that there was, a potential threat for them, they uh, hightailed it to somewhere else, where there were no white ghosts and no Great Pyrenees. Anyway, so that's our story for up there, except for the fact, that I did something really stupid, and that I tripped and I fell on my face, right in the gravel, and I had to go to the hospital because I was bloody all over the place. And it came to me. Of course, they fixed me up, shots and whatever they did. They really took care of me. So I have no complaints about you know rural medical care. It was really a class act, and it was reasonably fast. I think for a rural time scale. I mean, I was there the entire afternoon and late into the night. But they were actually able to, because I complained about my shoulder. They were able to do an X-ray to see whether I have any broken bones and so forth. So anyway, they put my arm in a sling, and sent me away. And since then I've pretty much healed. But I can still feel something in my right shoulder. It's it's still painful, but that wasn't the only incident that caused me pain in the shoulder because, just before that, Ghost has an enemy here, and the enemy is another dog. Some sort of a lab pit bull mix, and they hate each other. And so I wasn't paying attention, when the dog was being walked, down the street. But Ghost saw him, and he took off. And when he took off up against the leash, I couldn't hold on to him. He laid me out flat on the asphalt, and kind of scraped me up. My right hip hurt and all that kind of stuff. And the right hip, with a fall, turns really beautiful colors. I took photographs, but you're not going to get to see them. Anyway, well, by the time we get back in November, of course, we had a new, um, we elected a new president. And yeah, it's not a new president because he was president before, and that is our famous Donald Trump. And it's really interesting, I got to hold up this Wall Street Journal for you because this is the Thursday of November 7th, and there's a picture of Trump on it. So I have to regale you with this because it's really interesting. So what it basically says, is that well, Trump's Trump trumps again. And this is really interesting, is that, he lost the White House, 4 years ago, and now he is president again for his second term. We'll see how that goes. Um, and how did Donald Trump win the race? He stayed true to being Donald Trump. Now, I'm not sure what that exactly means. Name calling? I don't know. But in any case, so yeah, we now have um, we're now going to have another president again, and that is Trump. And of course, he ran against um, Mrs. Harris. Anyway, and she was the vice president. Uh, okay, so this video is made, for people for 100 years from now. They say, well, who is this Harris character anyway? So anyway, she just wasn't up to the task, and she lost. In fact, she really lost handily because Trump, just really swept, through the nation. For some reason, the U.S. is leaning a little bit hard toward the conservative end, which is the conservative side, which is very pleasing to me because I think, our liberal brethren here don't even understand that they're basically heading for communism and a real disaster, with their agenda. So to switch gears a little bit and maybe switch the direction a little bit is probably good for the nation, and which has made us for the last couple of 100 years or so, just the greatest country in the world, I think. I mean, people are clamoring to come here, and then once they come here, they say, "Oh, this sucks. Let me blow something up." Because why? Oh, well, you guys are all infidels. You don't believe in Allah, and you don't, follow our religion, and so, you shouldn't exist because we're at war with you. That really sucks. And as a matter of fact, we had some examples of this lately, even in Europe, where, the Muslim community, somehow sent out, a guy to drive through crowds in Magdeburg. Anyway, so that is kind of my rant on that. You probably hear our ghost still kind of barking in the background, but that's what we hear every day. So suddenly, we had Halloween, and we had Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, and we're now in 2025, and today is, in the Christian tradition, is called the Epiphany. But what's also interesting is that Christmas Sunday, evidently, which was the 25th, somehow fell into the Jewish, I don't know what they call it, but, it's the Jewish annual celebration around this time. And, it'll come to me, but, I'm probably having a brain fart right now. Hanukkah. Okay, like Hanukkah. Why not? And I did that actually unprompted, so there's that. Anyway. Okay. Stop it, buddy. Okay? Yeah, one word from me and it just barks his head off. Come here. Come here. Come here. Okay. We're good? He must have heard something out there. Like I said in the beginning, a leaf dropped from a tree a county away. Cut it out, buddy. Okay? Hey, Patrick, can you help? I am. Okay. So, anyway, I don't want you to hear on barking. I want to talk a little bit about Christmas because, I grew up in Germany as... and Christmas to us was a very big deal in Germany, and it's a pretty big deal in all the Christian nations and even in the United States. But like I see it's a big deal, more of a commercial, in a commercial sense, perhaps. But it's also a time for reflection, to make connection with friends, have dinner together, things like that. So in Germany, Christmas, as a matter of fact, I think even today in Germany, a lot of businesses are simply closed, and the people take a month off, for Christmas, because when we visited back in 2012, around Christmas time, there wasn't much going on. Of course, restaurants and so on, they were open, but the major businesses were closed. Museums were open, so people had a place to go and had a place to celebrate. A Christmas market. We've seen the Nuremberg Christmas market and all that. It was pretty wonderful. The weather was actually very nice. It was mild because during the time that we were there, which was Christmas week, there was no snow. It was really hard to get a place to stay, and so we had to stay in a neighboring town, and not in the town where we actually visited with friends. So Christmas is a big deal. As a matter of fact, from what I remember, is Christmas starts in Germany, around December 6th, because that's called Saint Nicholas Day, and Saint Nicholas Day, or Saint Nicholas Night, is something really peculiar, because the adults, they dress up as Saint Nicholas, and they walk around town, kind of menacingly, with rucksacks, that have parts of little children hanging out or something, because, the threat is there that, um, you know, if you're naughty and not nice, this guy may come and get you. But if you ran into one of these, as a matter of fact, we followed them around sometimes, because trying to be good and all that kind of stuff, and nice, and not tease them or anything, because these guys, they were very. We thought that they would kill us, or stuff us in their sack or whatever it was. But anyway, every once in a while, you get a piece of candy, maybe. Especially when you answer the question, were you naughty or nice, and you said nice. So nice in German. Oh, ich bin ein gutes Kind. Anyway. So it started there, and then you started to feel, the entire month just kind of drifting toward December 24th, because in December 24th, we would, have presents. This is when Santa Claus came, and not all the time, but we knew that this was our present day. And relax, buddy. Be a good boy. Okay. This UPS driver came up, and so he has to announce it. Anyway, we live with this now, and it's okay, but it's not okay for a video. In any case, so where were we? Yeah, we're drifting toward December 24th, when presents are opened and Santa Claus comes. And then on 25th, the feasting begins. And we, my dad, during the year, in the early years, post-war years especially, there wasn't much food. But I tell you what, there was always a lot of food at Christmas time. Dad made sure that, and he was participating in all of it. For instance, he would make something that I think the Scots call it haggis, which is a pig stomach stuffed with all kinds of stuff. Some vegetables and meat and so forth, and that's sliced up really nice, and because it was turned into like gelatin, once it cooled down. And I remember it being cooked, like a long, long time, during the day. And how did we cook? Well, we had stoves, where we built um, fires. Hey, ghost, stop it. He doesn't really listen to me, but Anyway, uh, and we and then my dad would also he would make liqueurs, like peppermint schnapps and things like this, and we'd actually get to taste some of it. But I remember particularly one Christmas, where Dad disappeared, and all of a sudden there was this knock on the door. We were all there, and in comes this guy all dressed up, with Santa Claus, okay, and really scary, talking about, have you been good and all that kind of thing. Anyway, and I had a big bag, of stuff that we would hand out, to each one of us, each one of us being my brother Walter and my sister Heidi. I don't think Peter was there yet because I was still little, but anyway, he came out and would hand out these things, and so forth, and then he'd go away. Okay. And so I remember, Walter, my brother Walter, saying, huh, you know, did you know that Santa Claus wore our dad's watch? Why was he wearing our dad's wristwatch? I mean, otherwise, my dad wasn't recognizable. He even put like foil in his teeth, I mean, he looked really, he did a hell of a job. Scary, he had a wig on and all this kind of stuff, long beard. It was fun. Anyway, and so yeah, Christmas was just wonderful, and of course it was wonderful for us this last year as well. But another thing would happen, is the time leading up to Christmas. My dad had these friends, and they lived, I don't know, several. They lived a little ways from us, but within walking distance. And they were Germans, but from Hungary. And this was a time, right after the war, where Germans were no longer welcome, especially in the eastern states like Russia, Poland, Hungary. And that's the reason we had to leave Poland, because we were Germans. And there were also, so we got to meet these people. Some of them were Volga Germans. They came from Russia. And I remember one particular family, family patriarch. He was a great fisherman. He used to go down to the Neckar River and catch fish, and he would bring and sell fish. My mom, from time to time, would buy fish from him, when he would come by. And so, anyway, so we used to meet all these characters, but my point is that my dad really liked to spend some time with these people from Hungary. And, from time to time, they would really kind of get shit-faced and really happy. And, and of course, my mom was really pissed about that because there was a woman, that she thought that, maybe there's something going on, And personally, I don't think there was anything. But I remember one time, she sent me down there because they lived kind of down a hill, a little ways away. And, and said, come and get my dad because we didn't have any phone, come and tell dad to come home, okay? So I went down there, and yeah, they were having a good time. They were singing songs, and dancing. And my dad was actually, and was a pretty darn good fiddle player. He could play a violin, and I remember him, and they were singing. That there was one particular song, that I remember just words of it. Remember, it was like I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years old, whatever. And of course, I told my dad, Mom said to come home, but I had a really good time, so I didn't say it twice, and they were all kind of drunk. But I remember one particular song that went something like this. I don't know whether I can actually sing it, but it's komm mit zu Warstein, wo die Rosen blühen. Oh man, I really butchered this, but I do remember these words. Maybe I need to look it up and see whether it's actually a song. But anyway, so he'd come home with me in tow, and mom would give him what for, and then of course I have to tell you this much, is they always slept in the same bed, no matter what arguments they had. So yeah, there was a lot of celebrating going on, a lot of meeting with friends because, business was shut down mostly. What else can I tell you about this? I think I talked about, my mom always said, that, the animals talk on midnight on the 24th. And I don't know what legend that came from. And the animals will talk to each other and complain. And if you sneak up on them, you can hear them talk and complain. So my friend Huber and I, of course, we took that seriously, And around the holidays, the parents didn't really care how late we were up or anything like this, or where we were even. It was a safe world back then, right after the war. We didn't know about crimes or anything like that. I'm sure there were crimes, but um, most people didn't. They had locks on the door. You know what I mean, with for keys and stuff, but nobody knew where their keys were because nobody locked any doors. Anyway, so we went to a Hof that was in town, and try to listen to the cows, that they had in a Hof, see whether they're saying anything, and we couldn't hear anything, but we were afraid that we would be discovered, by the owners of the Hof, because they also had dogs around, dogs start barking, kind of like here, And so, anyway, yeah, this is wonderful little legends and things, that we hear. So, uh, So we had a great Christmas, the three of us, and we actually had a friend over for dinner. So what we normally do is, our tradition is to open presents on the 25th. The 24th, we usually do something. Well, the food du jour is tamales. So we try to eat tamales, and also, go and visit a mall or something. So I stayed home with Ghost, and mom and son went out to visit them all, see whether they can I don't know, pick something up, last moment and so forth. So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting year, because there seems to be a drift in general toward away from the communist ideas and the liberal and ideas, more toward conservative. And the reason I'm saying that is because we actually see that in Canada. The Premier Trudeau just announced his resignation because he knows that he's going to be clobbered come election time, whenever that happens this year for them. And so, evidently his strategy is to resign and see whether they can put a new premier in that's more palatable to the voting populace. Uh, and and maybe that way he can save his Liberal Party. But we actually, with Trump's sweep, the Democrat, I mean, the Republicans have control of the Senate and the House, so basically it's the kind of supermajority in a way, but it's a slim majority. Supermajority happens here in California with Newsom and his liberal cadre. But there's also something interesting because in California, and we haven't had, well, we had Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was a Republican, but, the rest of the government was Democrat, so he was not all that effective. But what's happening actually is I see something going on in California as well. Maybe a bent toward a little more traditional America, and that is the one of the heirs of Levi Strauss became mayor of San Francisco, and the first thing he says, I'm here to clean up San Francisco, and San Francisco really turned into a shithole. People are shitting in the streets, homeless everywhere. The cops, are basically powerless since the St. Floyd incident because they're afraid to do anything. And it's a sanctuary state, so the criminals that are coming from South America or wherever the hell they're coming from all over the world, escaping their country, uh, are welcome in San Francisco. And that might change. That might change. As a matter of fact, we had this law here in California where up to, I think it was at first it was $900, maybe $1,100. If you walk in a grocery store and you steal stuff, up to $1,100 or so, it's not a felony or anything. So, the cops might come and take you in, but, you lose your stuff that you stole and be sent on your way. Well, that changed. Okay. So, that kind of theft now is a felony. And there were some women, that went in the store, laughing at these store security, because they packed their clothes full of stolen stuff, and security stopped them, saying, "Hey, you can't touch us," that kind of thing. And they said, "Oh no, it's now a felony, for you to steal anything from the Targets and the stores." And so on TV, their demeanor changed because now they're in trouble. And why should we allow people to steal things just to take stuff? If you want stuff, you need to earn it. That's how it should be. That only makes sense. So the Democrats, were saying, "Oh, we're overfilling the jails, with innocent people." Well, that's bullshit. They're criminals, and they need to be dealt with. Anyway, another one of my conservative rants. So we see protests in Germany, protests against the Muslim invasion that Miss Merkel invited, like a million Middle Easterns, and they're causing all kinds of problems. And, the indigenous Germans, have about had enough. As a matter of fact, I think Schulz has to resign because he's taken too soft of a stance on all that. So maybe things will change and we'll actually become decent humans again. And I don't understand that, that the liberals think, that to be soft on crime is a good thing and it makes for better nations. I don't know who in the hell convinced them of that. Maybe it was the Frankfurt School that started all that in the grade schools and so forth. Said, hey, social justice, and you can't just lock people up, because maybe there is a path to redemption. They do have a point. There is a path to redemption for some, but some are just simply career criminals, especially the ones that escaping, some of the countries that in South America, that are really part of the drug cartels and so on. But I think of Honduras president said, Trump, you better not send those people back to us because we're going to retaliate. He doesn't want his people back. Imagine that. So that just kind of tells you, what kind of people have left from there. Well, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on this. But anyway, Cybertruck is a good truck. As a matter of fact, it's so easy to drive, once you get used to it. And I don't want to drive anything else. As a matter of fact, if people actually, that are bashing Elon and his ideas, if they actually take a good look at it and, put their prejudice temporarily behind, they would look at this thing and say, this is a game changer. This has changed everything. As a matter of fact, the autopilot, 13 point something, is getting so good. I use it like all the time, and it just makes me really hopeful for the future. That we got some good things going. Of course, we're still at war in the Ukraine, and Netanyahu and Israel retaliated against Hamas by destroying Gaza, and tens of thousands of people have died already over that particular conflict, which is a shame. That people have to die, and I've looked in the faces of some of the children that you see on the newspaper, that have either lost their parents or suffering in some way. What I'm afraid of is that Israel is basically grooming a new enemy. And they're doing it because they just don't think there is another solution but to destroy everyone in Gaza, anyone that is against Israel, and that would be Hamas. The Palestinians in the West Bank are now actually at war with Hamas as well. What's left of the Palestinian Authority, because they see what's happening. They don't want to lose all of their country, and so I don't know what's going to happen there. But I tell you what, the Ukraine is really a bad deal. At worst, it could be the destruction of humanity, or at least most of humanity, and much of things that we have accomplished. And it could be a reset, if there's a nuclear confrontation, which I hope it isn't. At least the Ukraine war doesn't make the headlines every day anymore. So maybe it is slowing down, and hopefully the election of Trump will make a difference and bring us some time of peace. World peace forever is probably the worst thing that could happen to us. But, and I'm not a warmonger, but it's just, it's conflict is not always a bad thing. Killing of millions is always a bad thing. So I guess I'm a little philosophical about that, But maybe I've said enough on this video. But I want to make sure that whoever watches this, that understands that we wish them a wonderful 2025 and beyond. With this, I bid you farewell, auf Wiedersehen, and so long.